BookTube. I'm here with my Canada Reads review for Butter Honey Pig Bread by Francesca Equiasi, and this book will be defended by Roger Mooking, who I'm very familiar with from the Food Network, my favorite channel to watch, so I'm excited to see him defend this book. So what it's about. This book is about twin sisters and their mother. The mother is an Obanji, a spirit who comes and goes according to Igbo legends. She has to fight to keep on living for her daughters, who were once so close until something traumatic happened in their childhood to rend them apart. We go back and forth in time from the mother, Kambiranachi's childhood, to present day as the family gets together after decades spent apart. So the overarching theme of Butter Honey Pig Bread is definitely a love of life. Each of our three characters approach this theme in different ways. Very obviously we have Kambiranachi though, who fights to stay alive. The Obanji spirit brings tragedy to family, and its primary aspect is to be born and die soon in order to be reborn again, and to bring tragedy to family. People within Obanji spirit are constantly being called back to their kin through death. But Kambiranachi wants to stay alive. She loves her parents, she loves Banji, her husband, and then she loves her children, and she fights to stay alive for all of them. And this love is very evident, and her perspectives were some of my favorite to read, because while her love isn't always traditional and obvious, she loves life by loving the people around her and fighting to keep being with them. There are so many different types of relationships in this book, from platonic love between friends to queer romantic love to familial love. And these relationships are nuanced, shown in all their flaws. The people in these relationships are not perfect, and that affects their relationships. There are so many female-centric relationships here, and also black-centric relationships, and we don't see that very often in literary fiction. Equiasi said in an interview that black womanhood has been portrayed as monolithic, as the stereotype of the strong black woman, and she wanted to show her characters as flawed and broken and loving and mean and fully fleshed out people. There's also relationships built around food and the love of food, and Equiasi provides recipes. The connection between the sisters and their mothers is one of my favorite things about this novel. The story is about how these sisters were ripped apart by tragedy and their journey back to one another. It is a very long and circuitous journey, and it's an unusual family dynamic, but one that is wrought with love that leaps from the page. Whether that's through Taye's letters, or Kayende's thoughts, or even some hallucinations that happen. What was also evident is the love that Equiasi has for her characters. That doesn't mean that she protects them from horrible things happening to them, but that they feel so real because of that love. She also raises issues of addiction. And it's interesting because while we have these two minor characters acknowledging their problems with addiction, Taye also very obviously struggles with it without realizing it, without fully acknowledging it. She shows her love for life through food, but that also borders on addiction, as she seems to make some impulsive decisions in regards to that. She's addicted to sex and alcohol and drugs, but the consequences of those addictions don't seem to affect her. And that's my primary criticism of the book, that I wish that those addictions Taye struggles with were acknowledged by her, or at least the people around her. I didn't feel like Taye had any real growth throughout the text, which is disappointing because despite the book being from three different perspectives and three different people, Taye is overwhelmingly the main character. For example, when we are in Kayende's perspective, her twin sister, at all of that time, Kayende is just reading Taye's letters. She's also more on the periphery of tragedy. Nothing happens to her specifically, but to the people around her. So she's not the most interesting character in the book to me. I also feel like Taye is the same person at the end of the book as she is at the beginning. I think that the book perhaps ends before Taye's redemption is fully realized, as she does not realize the trauma that she has experienced until the very end, and her future is kind of up to the imagination of the readers. Personally, I would have preferred to read more about Kambiranachi and her experience. I always looked forward to reading from her perspective and felt like not only was she the most interesting, but she was also the best, but she also displayed the best of Equiasi's writing. And if you're going to pick this book up for any reason, it's going to be because of the writing. It's just so engaging and beautiful. The best way to demonstrate this is obviously to read one of my favorite passages, and this is a description of Cameronacci's paintings. Her paintings were stunning, highly stylized renderings that bore minimal resemblance to plants. Because she saw all the life in them, from seed or cutting to seedling, to flowering to fruit to dead and drying. She captured each phase of the plant's life in layers of bold brush strokes until the resulting pieces were vivid, abstract, and very textured. I would love to see these paintings outside of my brain. They just sound so beautiful and intriguing. There's a lot of promise in this debut novel. The writing, the ideas, the descriptions of food are all amazing, and I'll definitely be picking up more by Ekwayasi in the future. I normally don't comment on the authors themselves, but from all the interviews that I've seen with Ekwayasi, she seems like such a sweet person. And it's nice to see someone so sweet have such great success with their work. So how well does this book meet the theme for this year's Canada Reads? And the theme for this year is one book to transport you. This book is all about transporting. It's about journeying, both geographically and personally. We follow these two sisters traveling around the world. We go to Lagos, to London, to Tangiers, to Montreal, to Halifax, to France, and back and forth again. There's a lot of, physical journeying, physically transporting in this book. And it's also interesting to take a look at Canada through the eyes of an immigrant. Taye and Kayende both come to Canada from Lagos. And Ekwayasi herself is an immigrant from Nigeria. There's also the personal journeys of the twin sisters as they journey apart and then come back together, and their own personal journeys within themselves. There's also the transportation through time. The story is non-linear, and the character of Cameronacci is not anchored in any time. We saw that with the description of the painting, that she sees everything all at once. So how do I think this book will fare in the competition? I actually am calling this the winner of Canada Reads this year. It seems to be the most popular book online, and I think the fact that it's literary fiction combined with this great writing will make it a well-loved book among all the debaters, but that could also backfire, and it could be one of the first books voted off because it's the strongest competition. So let me know if you've read Butter, Honey, Pig Bread and what you thought of it, and how do you think it will do in this year's Canada Reads. Thank you for watching.